Welcome back to Quiz Blitz. Would you rather? Super Mario vs. Sonic Edition. Before starting, please subscribe to our channel for more exciting quizzes. Would you rather jump like Mario or run like Sonic? Would you rather be a human like Mario or be a hedgehog like Sonic? Would you rather Mario games or Sonic games? Would you rather fight like Peach or have an IQ of 300 like Tails? Would you rather be Bowser's right hand or be Robotnik's right hand? Not easy. Would you rather be chased by a Skelerex or be chased by this robot? Would you rather be cute like a Toad or be cute like Tails? What's your thought on this? Would you rather visit the Mushroom Kingdom or visit Sonic's Island? Would you rather go on a road trip with Mario and Luigi or go on a road trip with Sonic and Tom? Would you rather have Mario's bedroom or have Sonic's bedroom? Would you rather move around with magical pipes or move around with magical rings? Would you rather be a plumber like Mario or be a police officer like Tom? Would you rather Bowser's song or Robotnik's dance? Would you rather Mario's cap or Sonic's shoes? Would you rather Toad or Knuckles? Would you rather eat spaghetti with mushrooms or eat hot dogs? Would you rather Spike's glasses or Robotnik's glasses? Would you rather drive Mario's cart or drive Tails' helicopter? Would you rather the Mushroom Kingdom or the Mushroom Planet? Would you rather have the Superstar or have the Emerald? Would you rather Wario or Shadow? Would you rather Bowser's Kingdom or Robotnik's ship? Would you rather Luigi or Tails? Would you rather Francis or Ozzy? Would you rather marry Peach or marry Sonic? Would you rather fight Donkey Kong or fight Knuckles? Would you rather form a duo or be a lone hero? Would you rather take a ride with Mario and Peach or movie night with Sonic and Ozzy? Would you rather have Mario's mustache or have Robotnik's mustache? Would you rather have Luigi as your brother or have Manic as your brother? Would you rather have blue eyes like Mario or have green eyes like Sonic? Would you rather fly like Mario in his Tanuki suit or fly like Tails with his double tail? Would you rather control water or control electricity? Would you rather Mario's training or Sonic's training? Would you rather Nintendo or Sega? Would you rather watch Super Mario Bros. 2 or watch Sonic 3? Thank you for watching. Pick your next challenge and make sure to like and subscribe.